Hey y'all, I'm Brooke Hoover, a Louisiana native, actor, writer, and comedian. I've lost 100 pounds through diet and exercise, or shall I say, lifestyle changes. My 20-year and counting health journey has taught me that just like taking a diet pill for weight loss, body positivity doesn't magically happen overnight. I'm working on regaining my self-esteem and rekindling my love affair with Cajun and Southern comfort food in a healthier way, all the while juggling eating as clean as I can, reestablishing myself in the entertainment industry, which, as we know, is historically fat-phobic, all the while showing my inner fat girl some love. That's fat with a PH. Pretty hot and tempting. Let me tell y'all a tale or two. Hey everyone, it is Brooke with the Who's Dat Fat Girl podcast, and today marks a very special day because today is our 1-year anniversary. The clapping, and the cheering. We have someone in the background who's actually joining us. And we have Annie and Archer. They are dancing right now, but that is Mama. Mama has been on one of our podcasts several episodes ago, and she is back because it's basically thanks to Mama that the podcast exists, because if it wasn't for her sweating her little heart out, making all of my Halloween costumes growing up, I wouldn't have had my solo show, Fat Girl Costumes, which inspired this here podcast. So thank you everyone who's listened so far. I still don't know what the heck I'm doing from my head or anything. All I know is from my heart that it's just my job to share my tales with y'all and to hopefully make somebody else out there feel a little more understood, or a little less crazy, because maybe I'm crazy enough. So whatever it is, however you relate, I'm really grateful for everyone who is listening. So this episode is titled Big Fat Fabulous Flapper, and it's about a costume that Mama made for me when I was 9 years old. This costume had just happened right after a big costume fiasco. So in the year prior, I was a genie. And if we've listened to some of my previous podcasts, it was the first year that I was made fun of for being fat and for kind of being fabulous, showing myself, showing up, and being maybe too much as a 7-year-old can be. So this episode, we're going to talk about the flapper costume and kind of how that marked a different point in my young life, and it kind of still sticks with me. But let's back up. So for those of y'all who have not really been following along, my mama has made all of my Halloween costumes from the time I was born up until, even recently, she's helped me make Halloween costumes. Halloween was and always will be our thing. She made all of my costumes for school productions. Sometimes some of my costumes were so fabulous and I was just a chorus member, so they had to kind of put me in the way back, not just because I was taller, but because my costumes outshined some of the stars. And that's thanks to Mama. You hear that? So Mama's going to project a little bit more because she's further away from the microphone. Mama's further away from the microphone. So Mama, tell everybody, why did we choose a flapper costume? Because clearly at the age of 8, that was not my decision. Why the flapper costume?
I think our inspiration piece was, unfortunately, for health I used to smoke, okay?
She used to smoke. No, it's okay. You used to smoke. She quit.
Smoke. Remember?
I quit too.
Yes, listen to that. Used to smoke. And I was digging through my drawers one day.
She was digging through her drawers one day. Not her drawers as in underwear, but drawers as in dresser drawers.
I think they realized that, Brooke. I think they really realized that. But anyway, I found a cigarette holder that my little old lady friend, Glenn Spencer, gave me because I was still smoking at the time, but I hid it then and I found it. But anyway, she gave it to me. And when she gave it to me, she says, honey, everybody needs a cigarette smoker holder to look fine and sassy. So I hid it, and when I found it, I said, wouldn't Brooke look cute as a flapper? And that's what started it, a flapper girl, because flapper girls back then smoked and wore and had, cigarette holders. Excuse me, Brooke. I'm too tired to do this.
They did, Mama. I'm too tired to do this too, but I think we just got to plow through. That was really good, but
But I went on and on and on. That was not right.
no, it's okay. That people, you know what people listen to podcasts that are like an hour, 2 hours long.
Lord have
And
mercy.
I know. Well, I wanted to say really quick, y'all. One of my things with some podcasts is just a bunch of like people sometimes they just talk, they make small talk, they talk the whole
Right.
time. That's not my style, and I don't want to do that to people. And Mom, I think people understand that you're not doing that. We're not blah 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 small
Okay,
talking.
I
We're
just want
big
to make sure
talking.
that
We're fat talking.
yes, I'm just kind of going backwards and forwards and this and that
You
because
really
I'm
didn't.
very tired.
I know. Well, I'm very tired
And she
too.
wanted me to do this
Yeah,
today. I don't know
it's
why today
because
when we
we're on
could
a
have done it
schedule.
Sunday. Oh, that's why, because we're on a schedule.
Yep.
I guess maybe she's taking me somewhere this weekend that I don't know about. Maybe it's a secret.
Maybe it is a secret. The
Okay.
secret, it works. But look,
Okay, let's go.
let's not have too much crosstalk because that does make people a little
Okay, let's
anxious.
go.
By people, I mean me. So the flapper costume, describe how it was making it. Was it easy? Was it hard? Was it pain in
Oh,
the
it was
butt?
very easy to make because I had a pattern. And I took home ec in high school, so I learned how to read patterns. Thanks, Miss Latour.
Shout out Miss Latour. I'm going to describe the costume for them.
Okay.
It was black satin, black sateen. It had that nice big old blouson. And at the
Yes.
bottom, it was hot pink fringe because those are my colors, as we know, hot pink, black, and I like turquoise. And then the headband was the headband sequin hot pink with the
Yes.
hot pink feather.
Yes.
Yes, and then of course the smoking thing, and I think it was the little kiels in Louisiana, so I had tights, and then I had hot pink salmon Libby, those bow tie ballet flats.
Yes, it was darling.
It
Do
was
you still have
darling.
a picture of
I
it?
will be posting a picture on Instagram for everybody to see.
It was
So, I was actually one of my questions for Mama was, what was your favorite part of the costume? I wrote, I think I already know her favorite part because it's actually my favorite part. Sorry, microphone. I just wrote it right here. My favorite part was the cigarette holders. It was the 80s after all. So like kids doing play smoking, like they made candy cigarettes. It wasn't a big deal. It's like, get over it. And yeah, Ann and I, we both smoked, but we quit. So hey, holler. And I just want to say this too, just because you smoke does not make you a bad person. That was something that was forced down our throat back in the
It
day.
was kind of, yes,
Oh, you
stereotyped.
smoke, you're a bad person. Oh, give me a break, you know?
Exactly.
If you smoke, you're cool. No, I'm kidding. Kids, do not follow along with that. I was joking. I was being something called facetious. So one thing that we did at my skewdle that I think they do at most skewdles, and I say skewdle like
Was
that.
that at Runnels? It
That
wasn't
was at
Episcopal.
Runnels. No,
Okay.
no, not Episcopal.
Okay.
I say skewdle like that in honor of Mama's late great Pomeranian, our little fluff precious. She talked in a funny voice like that. So it was wear your costume to school day. All right. So we were already prepped with the flapper costume, right? And actually, Mama had a costume that year. You did not always dress up. To surprise most people, the only time Mama ever really dressed up for Halloween, aside from this time, was when Mama was the activities director in North Carolina. She called bingo. She arranged all the activities for the senior citizens. She would wear these fun, playful holiday and Halloween vests, and she once dressed up as a witch. But for this time, when I was the flapper to drive me to school, and we must have been doing a skew function where Mama was involved. Do you remember the costume that you were dressed up in?
Was it the bunny in the hat?
Yes, and we still own it to this day. It is a black magic hat and a bunny's popping out of it. So you're wearing the whole costume in one. It's kind of like a onesie. And y'all, I swear, hell must have frozen over that year back in the day because this was actually a costume from a bag. And Mama always frowned upon Halloween costumes from a bag. They were like, too generic. They're too generic.
Yeah.
Don't I sound like
I
that?
don't know why she makes me talk like that, y'all. I don't talk like that at all, do I?
In my head, that's her voice. So was there any particular reason why you dressed up as a rabbit in a hat?
I have no idea, except it was the easiest costume to find.
Yeah. And she did her makeup with the little nose and the little, whiskers. I do not remember if I had the kind of flapper eyeliner. I don't know that I did that because I've always been weird about eye makeup.
You
Yeah.
didn't have any facial makeup.
No facial makeup. Not to be, confused with body makeup or facial hair. Yeah, no, I didn't have any facial hair at the time, and I didn't have any body makeup on either. So we get to school. Mama drops me off, and everyone has Halloween costumes, but no one's is nearly as decked out as mine, right?
maybe people spent a week or less or overnight on their costume, whereas our costume was like several weeks, if not a month plus of effort of kind of planning everything out. And I remember one girl was like a fitness instructor. She wore like a leotard and leggings and leg warmers. And two gills they were best friends. Let's not say their names. You probably know who they were. They were like dressed up like Debbie Gibson witches with those black hats. I thought they were so cool. And they were. And the most
They're our
creative.
friends, so don't talk about them because they might be listening to this.
No, I don't think those two girls were not really my friends. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, I only say
I
that
had them confused with
somebody else. Yeah, because I'm fixing to say the name of one of our BFFs. And the award of the most creative last minute thrown together costume goes to Lindsay Young. She was dressed up as a bag of jelly beans. Her mom was a teacher, so she was always super busy. And so Lindsay had this idea, and overnight they threw it together. Lindsay had a clear bag, which was very hard to get back in the 80s. People weren't really recycling that much. And they put balloons in it, and Lindsay had like an aqua turtleneck. It was super cute. But I felt so foolish. Or maybe I was just getting over my genie costume fiasco from the year before of being called Phat, and my Phat was showing. I felt kind of like a fish out of water, and I will be posting pictures to show people. I think honestly, I was just afraid to be fabulous. It's kind of like when you show up to a party overdressed, but Mama, you always taught me that it's better be overdressed than underdressed.
Right.
Right. I think that's a big Southern thing. And that's just like a big mama thing. Be over-prepared rather than under-prepared. It's okay to look like a nerd. It's okay to be extra. Mama taught me, or her goal to teach me was to not be afraid of being fabulous. And yet I was because at school I was getting different messages. But Mama, have you ever been afraid to show off your fabulousness? Is there any situations where you were afraid, maybe, where somebody rained on your parade?
Actually, I have never been fabulous like you.
What?
Exactly.
No, I think you're more
remember
fabulous. I think everybody, Mom, we are doing this podcast because people have requested for more Anne.
Well, maybe I'm just too shy or too humble.
Oh, she's too shy or too humble. That makes me cry. But no, it would be just expressing a time when maybe you were just being yourself and somebody made you feel less than. That's putting you on the spot.
It's putting me on the spot. I can't think of anything at the moment.
Well, I mean, I'll give plenty of examples. All right.
Okay.
So, we used to have a friend. All right. And I still love this friend. She would always say this expression of, "You're too much for Hollywood." And now I say, well, that's why I didn't end up in Los Angeles. That's why I ended up in New York. So I think a couple times that Mama's fabulousness can be described. One of the best ways to describe Mama's fabulousness. Mama used to have, was it a Cadillac? It was a big old car back in the day, and Mama had a phone, a rotary phone that she snatched from her house and brought and would pretend to be making phone calls on this car back in the late 70s, early 80s.
That was before cell phones.
That was before cell phones. That was before phones in the car.
As we know them
I mean,
now.
that was even before the briefcase phone. So Mama essentially invented the phone in the car. So tell us about that. That's a moment of fabulousness.
Oh, I think it was my Cadillac or one of those cars. And Debbie and I would ride around the subdivision. We'd put the payphone looking phone. It was the long phone that hung on the wall in the car. And we'd dial it and, of course, be talking on it. And whenever we get to the stop sign by other people, we'd turn around and kind of look at them and go, ha, ha, like we talking on the phone. And they thought that was kind of cool.
Like a funny joke?
We thought it was really cool.
So segueing, Mama, for some reason, must have a fascination with talking with people while in the car, because then when I was in school, when I transferred to my other school, the snobby school, as I call it. I mean, like, let's face the facts, it was.
Yeah, it was a snobby school. It probably still is.
Oh, it still is. And they're asking for donations.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah. Give a break. No, I'm giving donations to causes that really need the money. Oh, Mama's coughing. Okay, yeah, we try not to do that. Okay, we try not to do that on the podcast because that hurts people's ears, but it's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, they're not.
I tried to hide.
They're cool. So there was another time that Mama was talking on a device while she was at the snobby school. She was, and she had a Range Rover at the time. I mean, and it had to have a CB radio in it. So
Yes.
Mama liked to talk to truck drivers on the CB radio because it would help with boredom or just for fun. And sometimes it was very helpful in emergencies because we were going back and forth to North
to give
Carolina a
directions.
lot,
That's what I really used
to get
it for, was
directions.
directions.
And, this is before the internet. So our truckers were basically our internet, right? So, one day, Mama's waiting for me at carpool at the snobby school, and she's talking on the CB radio. And the headmaster comes out. He has a British accent. He's like, Miss Hoover, can you roll down the window, please? Tap, tap, tap. Oh, Miss Hoover, your CB radio is coming all over the loudspeaker. Can you please tone it down?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was one literal time Mama's fabulousness was tampered with, but not really, y'all.
I still kept talking on the radio.
She still
I
kept
didn't
talking.
care.
She just changed the channel. I think she went to a different channel.
Exactly.
But Mom, I think we can all relate to at one point showing up somewhere, doing something, and just feeling maybe a little afraid to really step into ourselves. What kind of advice would you tell somebody who's feeling that? Mama's giving me a look. She doesn't really, that's putting you on the spot. What would you tell little Brooke? Here's the deal. What would you tell little Brooke
Just go ahead and do it and don't give a damn.
That's right. That's good advice. She's mad at. Just go ahead and do it and don't give a damn. I think that's some of the best advice I've ever heard.
Do your best. That's all you can do is do your best.
I mean, here's my deal. The point of this here podcast is to help all of us embrace our inner fat person, fat with a PH, pretty hot and tempting, without any shame or guilt, and just being who we are. And y'all, if our fabulousness isn't harming anyone, which I doubt it ever would, why the hell do we care what people think, right? Why do we put that negative replay into our heads? And on that note, I would like to share a quote. Mama, I don't know if you've ever heard this. It's by Marianne Williamson. She's very big in the self-help realm. Mm-hmm. I love her teachings. It really resonated with me. A friend once read it to me nearly a decade ago. And many of our fellow listeners have probably heard this. But if you haven't heard this, or if you have, it doesn't hurt to have a reminder. So here it is. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And of course, I'm going to make it fat girl styles and add a little bit more to it. Our deepest fear is not that we aren't fabulous, wonderful, or just enough to be enough. It's that we are more fat than this world can handle. That's fat with a PH, y'all, pretty hot and tempting. And I want to let y'all know that little flapper Brooke didn't have a full day of school and Halloween and trick-or-treat all sad and, oh, I'm so fabulous with my fake cigarette and my little feather and my Sam and Libby shoes. Oh, my mom spent so much time on this costume and now I'm sad because it's too fabulous and everybody else's costumes are just kind of like, normal. Why can't I be more normal? No, we went out with a bang. So later that night for trick-or-treat, for some reason, we had rented my dad a costume from Party Paradise. I've talked about Party Paradise in past podcasts. Party Paradise was the place you would go to rent fabulous costumes. It's also the place where we found the plastic angel wings that Mama then reconstructed for me for one of my Halloween costumes. And so this Frankenstein costume that we rented for my dad, Hoover Bob, the head itself was like 7 suitcases, the size of 7 suitcases. It was huge. And so at the time we had a convertible and we had to ride in the convertible to do trick or treat because else my dad wouldn't fit in with it. And so Mama's dressed up as the bunny in the magic hat. I'm dressed up as the flapper with my little chomping on my cigarette holder. I chomped on it all day. And my dad is in the back, like hanging out of the convertible, flapping in the wind, this huge Frankenstein head. And some kids pointed at us and laughed. And they were like, who's that? Yeah, who's that? What's that thing? And I was like, that is my dad. This is my mama. And for a moment, y'all, I was able to embrace my weirdness, or shall I say, my fabulousness. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I think Mama is about to, Mama's smiling. I wish y'all could see her. Mama's beautiful. Mama is humble, yes. Mama is fabulous. And I'm fixing to cry and see, Mama, it's okay. But I think the point is...
And Mama likes to cry too.
Mama likes to cry too. So I think the point of this is, y'all, I can't say don't ever let anyone dim your fabulousness or yourself or who you are, because people will. People will. It will happen.
Oh, Annie's worried about
But Annie, I'm okay. But what you can do is you can control your own self from dimming your fabulousness. Because none of those kids at school were dimming my fabulousness. It was myself from a past trauma from the year before or from whatever it was. So y'all, do not dare ever let yourself dim your own fabulousness. Thank you so much. Going into season 2, feeling good, feeling the flow. And Mama, you want to give a sign off?
Goodbye. Thank you so much, and God bless.
God bless. All right. Thank y'all. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening, y'all. It is my hope to inspire, uplift, and entertain you with this Who's Dat Fat Girl podcast. So, if you're hungry for more, you can book me to speak or perform my solo show that inspired this podcast, Fat Girl Costumes, written by yours truly and directed by Brian Lady at your virtual or in-person event. Please visit brookehoover.com/fluffybuttproductions or email me at contactbrookhoover@gmail.com for more info. And let's follow each other on Instagram. I'm at Brooke Hoover, and the O's in my name are not the letter O, they're zeros. Not because I want to be a size 0, but because I guess I'm just so clever with my late 90s Yahoo self. And if you like this podcast, which I really hope you do, please give me a 5-star rating and write a review on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, share this with your friends, family, and other people you may know who are as fat as we are. That's fat with a PH.